We are recording. And I will get us shared here. And here we go.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our folks online in the virtual world. I appreciate you all joining today. My name is Melissa Schumann. I'm a course director under the Sports Marketing and Media program, and I teach Portfolio 3. Portfolio classes are always kind of that like mystery class, like I don't know what is this class going to be about. A lot of times folks think that they're based on making a portfolio, but really the portfolio classes are meant to take a moment and synthesize what you've learned so far. So that way you're not, taking all these classes in a row and not really taking a moment to take it all in and apply it. So that's how the portfolio classes are meant to be. And I teach entrepreneurship, so how to be innovative within a company and make like a pitch for an idea. So that's a little bit about me. I have been doing these LinkedIn workshops for a little while now. Part of the reason why I do it is based on feedback from industry professionals, HR professionals. LinkedIn is where it's at. A lot of times they're looking at your LinkedIn more than they are your resume. LinkedIn profiles should now definitely be a part of your physical resume. They're not replacing it. So, we're still using resumes. But LinkedIn is definitely a huge resource for your branding. And the earlier you get started, the better. How many of you all have LinkedIns already? Yay. And if you just signed up, that's okay. That's step one. I kind of go through it. What about our online folks? I know it's a little hard to see that.
More ideas.
Okay, you're moderating. I forgot. Okay, yay. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
How many of the folks who responded feel like their LinkedIn is great, where you want it to be, or at least pretty solid? Okay, we got 2. And you know what? That's usually normal. That is typically what I hear is that's basically why you're here is how can I make my LinkedIn better and brand myself appropriately. So don't feel bad that you're not there yet. And hopefully for the folks who feel pretty good about their LinkedIns, maybe I can teach you a few tips. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. And feel free to stop me, ask any questions. This is meant to be interactive. Actually, when I normally do this, I try to focus more on a more hands-on workshop, and we can do a little bit of that. But since we are doing a hybrid session, I just want to be respectful of the folks at home who can't see everything. So overall, LinkedIn is a way to brand yourself. You can now think of it as part of the foundation of your professional brand. We have resumes, now LinkedIn, and then portfolios, which actually recently from our professional advisory board, which you'll hear me reference a few times. Taking a step back, professional advisory boards are people who run the companies that we all want to work for. So these folks, each degree program in Full Sail has a professional advisory board, and they are from leading companies, and they meet with the people who run your degree programs and give them feedback on how what is needed to make the degree program better and what is needed for graduates to work for them. So like for sports marketing and media, we have like the head of marketing for the Chicago Blackhawks. We have people who run professional baseball teams. Same goes for the entertainment folks. You have people that are very high up And it's great because then those folks help us cater the degree to what is needed so you're successful when you graduate. So when I mentioned professional advisory board, that's who I'm referring to, okay? So the professional advisory board most recently had mentioned that they think that the LinkedIn is more important than the portfolio, that they want us to focus more on LinkedIn than portfolios. I will take a step back. For some degree programs, this is not the case. Graphic design, I completely understand. But that's really how important it is, okay? So some of these slides are a little wordy. I'm not using notes, so I am depending on my slides a little bit. But so I know that's a faux pas for our graphic design folks, but I want you all to be able to read it and also for the folks at home to be able to see the full content. So again, it's a way to showcase your skills and all the good stuff you're doing. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to start out with just some of the basics. You all should probably be pretty okay with this. If you have a LinkedIn, if you don't, then this is probably a good place to start. So first off, your professional headshot. That's very important, right? There are some tips and tricks with your headshot. As the slide says, the face should occupy 60% of the frame. Professional attire, a confident expression. People tend to react better to people who are smiling. I got that feedback before through photo feeler. It's just how people respond. I have a resting BF, as you would say, so I need to always, keep that in mind. How many of you all have heard of photo feeler? Yay! One. Okay, so photo feeler is cool. It's a website where they have two separate divisions of photo feeler, which you can use both. One is assessing your online dating profile picture, which, have fun. But for the purpose of today, we're talking about your business headshot. They also have a section that's dedicated to business headshots. So what you can do is you can upload your business headshot on there and get feedback from other professionals. You put in things like, what is your industry? Yes.
Do you want to share?
Is there a question?
I could show them if you want me to share what it is.
Sure, yeah.
All right.
So you can, again, upload your photo, put what industry you're in. And the industry part is important because if you're saying, okay, I'm an accountant, then people are going to give you feedback a little differently than if you say, I'm an aspiring filmmaker. Okay, so those types of headshots are going to be a little different. So it's pretty cool. People vote. With the professional headshot one, it's professional feedback. Like people aren't going to say like, you need to redo your hair, like it's going to be more like, oh, it'd be good if you smile to make it more engaging photo, things like that. Or if you look like an accountant and you're a filmmaker, they might say, oh, more creative dress would probably be more reflective of your brand. So it's a really cool tool. And the more you vote on other people, the more credits I think you get for people to vote on you. It's totally free. So just wanted to recommend that resource because as we all know, photos are the first impression. All right. Did you want to show it?
I thought I did, but I'll show it again.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it went there.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, you can see that I had 93 votes.
Oh, you're not showing your screen on here. That's why.
Oh, it's in sure.
You probably for only the online.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's okay. Well, at least the online folks saw it, but it's pretty simple. It's just photofeeler.com. And any of this stuff, actually at the end of today, what we'll do is we'll send out a copy of today's presentation. So if you all don't feel like taking notes or screenshotting or anything, we'll go ahead and send that out so you have it for later. Okay, so next slide. Adding a background to your LinkedIn profile is also another good thing to do. And again, it's creating the brand, it's creating, as the slide says, context. So if you are looking to go into sports, for example, and your background image, you get to the background image, by the way, by hitting the pencil. I believe it's in the right-hand corner. If you're going into sports and your picture is of you scuba diving with dolphins, cool, you know, nice, but maybe it's not really showing that complete brand of who you are and what your professional interests are. You don't want people to have to dig more to figure out what your interests are. You want it to be really clear, really fast. I've also seen people who have used graphic design to create, their own custom headers. So again, that's just a simple way, again, of building, we're building the brand of you. We have your headshot. We have that background image on the top. Think of like a Facebook background image, kind of the same deal. Next slide. So the headline, okay, the headline, you might not maybe think about it a ton. I see a lot of students have their headline as student at Full Sail, which it defaults to that typically. It defaults to whatever you put in last. So if the last thing you put in was your degree, it's going to default to student at Full Sail. But you can customize it. All the customizations are done by hitting the pencil icon. If you cannot find something, just go in the help section and put in, how do I update my headline? And it gives you like a step-by-step how to do that. Again, typically I would walk through this with you, but since we have virtual hybrid today, I'm just gonna talk through it. So I've given some examples up here of some headlines, depending on what you're interested in. I've also seen folks, including myself, who use emojis in their headline to show creativity. There are a ton of articles out there about impactful LinkedIn headlines. So if you're into graphic design, like you mentioned, you could say, look up, Google, what are some great LinkedIn headlines for graphic designers? And you're going to get like a huge list. So I recommend potentially doing that unless you're feeling like you got it. So again, these first impressions, headshot, headline, background image. Next slide. And then the next area is the about section. So this is a summary about you. So sometimes these, I've noticed, can be a little dry. It's not really meant to rehash exactly what is below in your work experience. It's your chance to potentially show a different side of you, maybe your personal interests, but you always want to keep in mind who your audience is. It's a professional audience. So one way that you can make sure you're staying in line with that is if there are jobs that you are interested in. So if you're on a job board, and what's a job somebody is interested in getting after college or now? Nice. Yes.
Production assistant for
Okay.
Production company.
Film, okay.
Locally, or Atlanta or New York, California, any of those places.
Do you ever look up production assistant jobs on any of the job boards?
I'm not sure if I have actually for specifically with like LinkedIn, but like with other platforms. So,
Or any platform?
yes.
Okay. So what I recommend is, if you haven't, you might start to see some keywords that are in there every time. So we are looking for an individual who has this skill and this skill, or who is passionate about this. Start noticing those similarities in those job descriptions and incorporate that into your about section. So you're hitting upon some of the passions that they're looking for. And tailor it to still be authentically you. I personally have a hard time sometimes writing the about section. I have a hard, it's really easy for me to get up and talk to you about LinkedIn or resumes, but when it comes to doing my own, it's hard to talk about yourself. Yes.
You're like a artist. Would you recommend using like a artist bio, or in that section, where you kind of want to break it down and kind of get the key parts? Because it's kind of like bio can sometimes tell a little bit of your story too, but it can be kind of lengthy.
Yes.
And I don't think that's for that spot either, right? No.
I think a partial bio is good. You know, I tend to read about people who seem authentic and interesting more so than I do, you know, somebody who's like, I'm really good at Excel and doing this and this, you know, it's like, that's boring.
Right.
But to your point, you want to try to keep it brief. And then you also want to relate it back to where you want to go as an artist. So try to balance that. Try to balance where you want to go and where you started. I do sometimes see students, they'll say, you know, I graduated from high school in, you know, 2022, and now I'm a student at Full Sail. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we know you graduated from high school. We know you're a student at Full Sail is right there. So like, you know, maybe cut some of that stuff down and try to get to the meat of it. You know, but if there's something in your background that really inspired you to become an artist, you know, that might be interesting. But you always want to keep in mind who your audience is and who you're speaking to. We did get some tips from the Professional Advisory Board to include software experience. This could be included here, or it could be included in other sections throughout LinkedIn. So I'll let you choose that. There's some areas in LinkedIn when you're filling it out that says add skills. That's where you could add that. That's the first time I've heard them say that before. So that's interesting. So I actually, when I read that, I went in my LinkedIn and added like, okay, well, I know this, this, and this. You know, I thought it would be obvious, but I added some of that stuff in. And this is another area too, kind of like the headline. If you're struggling with an about, there are a million articles out there. How do I write my about section? And then we also have a tool that I'm going to share with you a few slides down that can help as well. Also, sections to include work experience. How many of you all actually have work experience? Yay! Yay! A lot of my students have never worked before, and that's okay. That's totally fine. And for those students, I recommend getting out there and volunteering, getting some, even if it's just for like one day, and just starting to get some relevant experience. You can list those volunteer experiences under your work experience, as long as they're appropriately labeled as volunteer. There is a volunteer section in LinkedIn, and it's way at the bottom. So I now include some of my volunteer work down in that section, just because now I have a decent amount of work experience. But if I was light on the work experience and I was trying to paint that brand picture of myself, I would include that in the work experience. So has anybody volunteered in industry related? Yeah, what did you do?
I was stage management for Elephants for Autism Indie Music Festival
Ooh, that's fun.
in Atlantic City.
Nice. What was your role?
Just stage management,
stage
band lineup, making sure their riders were fulfilled for contracts and stuff like that.
Okay, so yeah, that would be something that I would definitely include in work experience. If you don't have a decent amount of industry experience, based on talking to you for a few minutes, sounds like you do. But you know, you could put the name of the organization, your role, volunteer, because the thing is if you don't put volunteer and somebody from that organization sees that you put it down as a position, that could be considered unethical. So you definitely want to maintain being ethical. So if you put it as a volunteer experience and what your responsibilities are, I mean, just because you didn't get paid, that doesn't mean it wasn't a job and you didn't work, right? That is industry experience. Also for the folks who have just maybe had some entry-level jobs. I mean, my first job was fast food. I know that we have a lot of folks who work at restaurants who have some great jobs while they are in school or before they started. I've had students say that they hesitate about putting that on there. I think it is excellent to put that on there for a couple of reasons. First, you learn some really great transferable skills. So I highlighted up here, collaborated, resolve customer issues. These are things that whether you're working in fast food or a large company, these are things that you will have to do and will do. Also, it's kind of nice to, as I was a hiring manager at one point, recruiting for a company that I work for. And it's nice to hire people who've actually worked before, because when you hire somebody who has never had a job, sometimes just entering the workforce is a bit of a hump to get over. Like, okay, well, you have to go to work, you have to be there on time. You have a supervisor, this is your desk. So having somebody who's actually worked before, dealt with the schedule, all that stuff, that's actually a benefit. So don't hesitate to include that on your LinkedIn. I think it's admirable. And then I have on here too, if you're able to quantify any of the things that you've done at any of those organizations. So let's say you were a waitress or a server at a restaurant. Well, maybe when you very first started, you were able to cover 2 tables an hour, okay? By the time you left that restaurant, you were able to handle 5 tables an hour and 10 tops or something like that. That is a % increase, right? Going from 2 to 5 tables. So you could say, you know, during my time as a server, I was able to increase the number of guests I served from this amount to this amount. The reason why this is important is it's not because hiring managers really care about how many people you can serve at a restaurant. It shows that you have a understanding that end results are important. Because at the end of the day, no matter if it's a creative organization or business, business focused, not that creative isn't, let me take that back. A creative organization or a less fun organization. At the end of the day, it's, about making money for those organizations to stay afloat. So if you can show that you're able to quantify things, even in the simplest way, that is a good thing. Let me just finish. No, you're fine. The last thing I just wanted to point out is adding your degree. So sometimes I see students who just put for the degree area, full set with no specific degree that they're pursuing. So again, going back to creating that brand of yourself. If you are going to school for game business esports, then I'd want to know that because you're creating that picture of who you are. You can also include if you have a portfolio or examples of projects you've done. There is a space under the degree area where you can include hyperlinks. And that goes under the job areas as well. So those all have hyperlink sections where you can include examples of your work. So that go for it, I'd say fill it up with as much good stuff as possible and then trim it down as you go. It's better to have more and edit than it is to have not much and trying to figure out what to put. Okay, next slide. All right. So once you got, some of that, good stuff in, right? You have a good brand presence on there. You have some of your experience. Now it's time to start connecting, right? So of course you want to, as you go through your degree program, connect with your peers, anybody you meet at school. Definitely encourage you to connect with your instructors. Stay up to date on what's happening with your program. But there's also an opportunity to find people who could be potential connections at companies you would like to work for. So first, I recommend following any companies that you're interested in. What would be companies people would be interested in? Working for, just in general?
Meta?
What is it?
Meta?
Meta?
Facebook?
Yep. So that would be a great one to follow, follow Meta, and Facebook might even have its own page as well. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you follow Meta, kind of like when you're following a page on, you know what? I need to probably stop using Facebook as my example because it's not cool to be on Facebook anymore.
Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, you got pictures.
Okay, all right.
Experience acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, analogy though. It's fine.
It's what's cool now.
Okay, I'm old. All right, I'm gonna say Facebook, but don't judge me, okay? So similar to how back in the day, people would follow Facebook, like a Facebook page, you get information from that page, right? So same deal on LinkedIn. If you follow a company, organization, you're gonna get what their updates are, which is good. If you wanna work for them, then you can, get updates. So go in, follow not only companies, but potentially news sources. If there's a publication that heavily writes about your industry, follow it. But what I have up here is a way for you to also see some potential connections with organizations that have a full sale link. So I just wanted to show you this quick tip. Could you pull up that LinkedIn? Just want to make sure that it's still being shared as well. So if you could just let us know if it's still being shared. So we're going to look at LinkedIn really quick. Can you see that on the share? Okay, so we just need to share that screen. I think it's Lenny. There you go.
Deeper understanding on how to yourself.
Sure. Okay, so we're looking at Blizzard. Okay, so Blizzard is a popular company that people want to work for, so I've heard. So if I wanted to work for Blizzard, I would follow on LinkedIn, which is that blue oval. But also I might want to know, hey, is there anybody that is connected to Full Sail or any organizations potentially that I work for, that I can connect with. So if you go under the keywords search here, you can type in Full Sail. And then what's gonna pop up is anybody connected to Blizzard that has a connection to Full Sail. So that gives a list of 78 people here. So these could be people who work at Blizzard. They could be people who work at Blizzard that went to Full Sail. They could be people who work at Blizzard that used to work at Full Sail. Did I say that right?
People,
Okay,
it's a connection.
yeah, okay. So people who studied here at Full Sail or people that potentially worked here at Full Sail. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and click on that 78. And then if you go down, these are going to be people who have some sort of connection with Blizzard and Full Sail. So let's look at this. Let's look at this guy, Aaron. Okay, let's go down and see what his connection to Full Sail is. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, he's a Full Sail grad. Super cool. So, if I wanted to work at Blizzard and I am a Full Sail student, I would definitely reach out to Aaron on LinkedIn and say, hey, Aaron, I'm a current student at Full Sail University. I see that you're an alum, and I was wondering if I could connect with you and learn about your journey and your position in gaining your position at Blizzard. Great way to connect with somebody. People love helping people. And people love helping fellow alumni. So I could definitely ask you this question. Once you graduate, if you're working for your dream job, if somebody reached out to you and said, hey, I'm a student at Full Sail, could I ask you a couple of questions? What would your response be?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're nice, right? I think we sometimes get intimidated and think that like, oh, we're bothering them or they're busy. But really, people are nice and people like helping other people. And there was actually statistics that back that up. There was LinkedIn did a study of CEOs asking why they would like to connect with potential mentees on LinkedIn. And they found that 97% of CEOs would be willing to chat with students or potential mentees on helping them grow their career. So they want to help. They probably want some excitement to learn about you. Also, it kind of keeps people hip too, especially if you're like a high-level CEO. You might not have access to what's happening with, the youth or college graduates or anything like that. So, all right, I'm getting off topic. So anyways, that's a cool thing. And I just wanted to show you that so we can go back. Did you all know that was there? Oh, wait, can you go back to it one more time? I don't think you stopped sharing, so we might be okay. Is it still on there?
Yes, on there.
Okay, can you go up one more, go back to that previous? Okay, click on jobs. Another cool thing is you can also look at what jobs are available. Not all companies post their jobs on LinkedIn, but a growing number are. And a lot of companies, I don't know if this one has it, but they've set it up where you can actually apply for the job through LinkedIn. So it's called LinkedIn Easy Apply. And you basically just hit the button and you're applying for the job just using your LinkedIn profile. So how easy is that? All right, Next slide. Or back to slides.
Yeah. Please. I don't think I started sharing this one. Okay.
I'm glad you're doing this.
Listen, I'm no expert, but I can do some things. All right.
Okay, so that's just a way to potentially find connections. Just a simple way, but there's, a million ways. You also don't necessarily have to have a connection with them to reach out to them. Can we go to the next slide? Once you are connected with people, you can ask them about their experience if they went to Full Sail, or if it's somebody that you're just kind of cold connecting with that's doing your dream job. A great role that you all have right now is student. And folks love talking about themselves. So if you reached out to somebody, of course, professional tone, all that stuff, and ask them, hey, I'd love to interview you for my blog or my podcast. We see like a 95% success rate with that. So does any of you have blogs or podcasts? Yay. What do you have?
The Shifting Sound podcast,
Oh,
and I have a blog on WordPress through LinkedIn just because of the class.
yeah.
So I just keep up to date with like SAG and AFTRA,
Mhm.
what's going on with the different strikes that are occurring and why.
Awesome. You're on it. You can see why you're the president.
I'm a business student, so I'm about to graduate and they make me do this stuff.
You can also write, you can say I'm writing an article for LinkedIn too. A lot of people are blogging within LinkedIn. So if you're not into WordPress, which I know some people are kind of, on the fence with WordPress lately, you could use that as well. Overall, again, going back to that professional advisory board, they recommend that you actively engage with industry professionals, interact with their posts. So if there's somebody you really respect, like it, reshare it, I should take a step back really quick. By the way, LinkedIn is nowhere close or near like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, like it's all super profesh. So we don't want to talk about like political views. I mean, you can if you want, but stray away from personal topics. You want to communicate on LinkedIn like you're talking, like you're trying to get a job. Okay, so keep it professional. So definitely engage with industry professionals. Also, just want to throw out there, LinkedIn is great, but don't forget about the importance of in-person events, networking events. One piece of advice they gave us was they find that when they meet people in person at networking events, that people don't make eye contact with them. And that kind of put them off a little bit. So don't forget the importance of eye contact. All right. Okay. Going back a little bit, we talked about summary. Okay. There's this cool tool called Taplio. It's totally free. And what you can do is, I'm going to show you a demonstration in a second. You can take your LinkedIn profile URL, put it in Taplio, and it will give you a quick assessment of your LinkedIn profile and also your summary and all that. So you know how we were talking before about like, I don't know what to write in my about summary. This could potentially give you some feedback. So it gives you some insights on how to make it better. Can you go to the next slide? This is what it looks like. It appears that you have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. So I just want to, really push that. So what you would do is put in your public URL by the way, if you go to the next slide, your public URL is right here. So if you're in LinkedIn, you would hit me, I believe, in the right-hand corner if you're not already there. And you'll see right here under the language preference, that is your public URL. Just want to point out, you can customize this, and I recommend that you do. I think it automatically like defaults to like your first name and like 8545J2. So you can put in your name like I did here. I put in my name. So that helps when you are including your LinkedIn on your resumes because it just has like a cleaner look. Okay. You don't have to do that right now because it might take you a second to figure out, you know, how to edit that to something that you like. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice on Taplio and show you what that looks like. Just going to make sure it's sharing and all that stuff. Okay. Can you see that? Okay, so this is what it looks like. If you go to the top really quick, does it allow you? Oh, go back to Taplio. I just want to show how we got here.
That's not it.
There you go. The only reason you go to, is this being shown right now?
Yes.
Okay, you go to free tools. And then you go to LinkedIn profile feedback. And that's how we got here, just so you know. And again, we'll be sending out this presentation afterwards. So if you didn't catch something, totally cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that URL, that's our personal URL, and put it in here. So, and we did this for yours, right?
We did.
Okay, so we put in Olivia's LinkedIn profile, and it gave her feedback on her LinkedIn profile. So this is her headline feedback. It says your current headline, academic advisor for Full Sail, is a bit generic. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I kept it this way as an example.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And it doesn't fully leverage the power of a well-crafted headline. So I believe it might give you
It does, yeah.
some recommendations. Experienced academic advisor, passionate about student success
Yeah.
and career development. So she, of course, doesn't have to use this, but it kind of gives her some ideas.
Well, I like that it calls me a clinical psychology enthusiast. That's my degree, my background is in clinical psychology. I'm learning things.
All right, so then it gives you some advice on how to craft this. And you can also, if you wanted, copy and paste this right into LinkedIn. Okay, next we go to the summary area here. So it says, it appears you currently do not have a summary.
Yeah, you guys
Are you paying attention tonight?
I am. Well, that's why I'm here. So excited. I did this all on purpose, you know? I gotta craft these things as I get them.
That's okay. You're not alone. Okay, so it says, all right, well, based on what you have in your LinkedIn, if you go down here, it gives you a recommended.
Does it go bigger than that?
You
Or I
have
have to
to-
scroll.
You have to, let's see if it goes down, if it shows it summarized down below here.
Oh, maybe.
Nope, let's go back up.
All right then.
Well, if you would like, you could copy and paste it on a document.
Sure.
Okay.
Can I even get that?
Oh,
Interesting.
so while she's doing that, it gives her, it scans through her LinkedIn profile and gives her a recommended summary. Again, you know, this is AI generated. Okay, so.
Can you see that, Bethany? No?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Oh, wait, that one? No, I still am seeing the bright and engaging summary.
Okay,
All right. I might have
I'm gonna go back to share.
have to share all my screen.
Okay. Just so they can see what it did.
There we go.
So, again, Olivia didn't have, a about summary. So based on that, it gave her potential recommended, dynamic and experienced academic advisor with a demonstrated history of working in higher ed, skilled student counselor. What do you think?
Well, I don't counsel students as an academic advisor, so I'd probably take that out.
Okay.
But I do like customer service. Yeah, my background actually is in Publix for 9 years before here, so that's relevant. And goes back to what Melissa was saying earlier about never exclude those jobs from your application because for sure they will get you places. Clinical degree in clinical psychology, that's true. To empower students to achieve their educational goals, absolutely. To be successful for their careers, yep. Always open to connecting with professionals in education.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not
I like
bad.
that.
Yeah, so I mean, again, you definitely don't want to just copy and paste things, like she mentioned.
Yeah, I'd probably take out just some of the portions.
Yeah, you mentioned you don't counsel,
Mhm.
so, you definitely want to keep it, honest. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the output one more time. So it gives you some recommendation on some key areas. It doesn't, complete your whole LinkedIn. Right engagement. Okay, and then next down, it looks at your experience. It then looks at her different jobs and looks at the description for the jobs and gives her some recommendations on how to make that a little more solid. And then go down. And then it goes down, like we talked about some skills you can add to your LinkedIn. Here's some top ones that she could add, go down. And so on. So great tool. Do you have a question?
Go on to the other page.
You can't see it, can you? Okay.
Every time you have to share, you have to switch your.
I know. That's why I was like, I'm glad you're doing it because I always mess that up.
It's so like,
I know, it's
oh,
wonky.
it's wonky. Okay, there we go. Now can we see?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so again, it gave her some job descriptions, some bullet points to include here, some skills that can be added, and then some background information for education. So again, it's a really cool free tool that can help you get going. And I really like it. I went to an AI workshop a while ago, and a lot of it was interesting, but this, I was like, oh, I like that. That's pretty cool.
I'm very impressed.
I know.
Like, this is my first time seeing it too, so I'm like, wow.
Okay, so let's go back to the main presentation. I think that's the last time we're switching out, so I think you're good.
All right. Putting me to the test.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions at this point? Okay. All right. So again, you can customize that URL, which I recommend, and then you can, use Pathio. Okay, so just some questions to reflect on. Does your profile picture appear professional? So one thing to point out is there are a lot of sessions here at Full Sail where they do like free headshot day.
Very Hall of Fame coming up.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
so that's a great time to do it. Also, your cell phones, iPhones, whatever, they take amazing pictures these days. So if you want to have a photo shoot with some of your friends, you could do that. Assess your headline, make sure it's attention grabbing. You don't want to default to that student at Full Sail, which is just kind of look at your about section. Look at your work experience and your educational background. And again, one really cool thing about that Tableau tool is it gives you some feedback in those areas, even if it's missing. Okay, go to the next slide. Just a few more slides. So once your profile is all good to go, what do you do now? Like, what do you post? And again, going back to that professional advisory board, they recommended sharing projects that you worked on, class projects, sharing certifications. Do you all ever do LinkedIn learnings? Everybody does them. We all do them. Have you ever uploaded your certification on your LinkedIn? Okay, got one. Got two. So I assume there's more that haven't. When you finish your LinkedIn learning, there's a button that says, would you like to add this to your LinkedIn profile? If you hit yes, then it automatically goes to the certification section of your LinkedIn profile. So then you can have all these like awesome certifications, right? But going back to that, so let's say you're a digital marketing major. And you find that a lot of positions are looking for Google Analytics certification. Maybe you don't have much experience in Google Analytics, but go through that LinkedIn learning, include that Google Analytics certification in that section, and that puts you in a higher standing. Also things to post, express appreciation to professionals you've met at networking events. We have Hall of Fame coming up, so really good point. You could post a picture at one of the panels and write, hey, had an amazing time at this. I learned this. This was my key takeaway, and tag that person. And LinkedIn is much better than the other social media platforms. There's not a ton of ads. So you do get to see posts and engagement a little more effectively, which is cool because if you're connected with people you want to work for, they're going to start seeing some of those ways that you're getting involved and you're going to stand out. Any volunteer activities, key takeaways from workshop, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, so what would you include in those? Just really quick. If you did go to a workshop, you did volunteer, you read an interesting article, describe your key takeaways and observations related to your career goals or your degree. So you want to make those connections. Okay, you don't want to just say, well, you can, but you don't want to just say like, this event was awesome, mic drop. You want to maybe elaborate a little more. Taking a picture at the event is always a good idea. It's a little more engaging. You get better analytics when you post pictures. And then, of course, you always want to remember that you're communicating to a professional audience. You're communicating with people you want to work with or work for, and you want to present your best self. So no typos, all that kind of stuff. I always write everything in Word and then I copy and paste it. Or I use Grammarly because I'm just flawed. So, and as you get older too, like letters just like disappear. Like you typed them. Okay, next slide. Just wanted to share a few example posts that some of the students have done in my degree program where they volunteered for the day. I know it's a lot of words, so if you just want to focus on one, that's fine. But they took a picture at the event. They shared what they did, what they learned, and there's one hashtag there. I recommend potentially hashtagging events or whatever. But this is great. This shows like, wow, again, building that brand of who you are, what your goals are, by posting engaging content. And also sometimes, maybe in the beginning, your posts are, a little more simple. And then as you go through, they start to become a little more elaborate, especially as your degree program progresses. That's okay. Don't be embarrassed by old content. because it shows a journey. It shows improvement. So you don't always have to be perfect. So overall, regular updates to your LinkedIn profile can elevate your personal brand. And you can start implementing these steps today. There are also on the next slide some resources outside of what we talked about today. We have career development. If you are 6 months or less away from graduating, you can go to career development anytime. But if you're more than 6 months out from graduating, they have open door sessions every Wednesday from 11 to 2. And you can go there either in person or do it via Zoom. And you can talk to them about any of the stuff we talked about today, LinkedIn, events, resumes, how to interview. Let them know what you're interested in. They get calls all the time for inquiries about needing students for volunteers, jobs, internships. So if you let them know what you're into, they'll remember, oh, you know what, I just talked to the student and I know they're interested in esports, graphic design, film. So I just want to really point that out. Also, just recently introduced, you can ask them about this, VMOC. It's a new software platform that they're using, and it helps to optimize your resume. I believe you can use it anytime starting now. I'm just getting trained on it. It's not complicated at all, but I do think there's some limitations, meaning you can only do like 20 tries, like uploads. And then after that, you have to get the account reset. So that's where I wanted to get some training on, like, I don't want to like overuse it and get locked out. So I would potentially talk to Career Dev about the VMOC option, but I'm pretty sure you can use it now. So I'd love to give you more information about it, but it's new to me as well. It just came out like a month ago. Lastly, Going Global. Going Global is a job resource. You can search for it on Full Sail One. It is included in your tuition, and you can look for jobs anywhere in the world. And it also gives you career guides by city, state, country. It's a really awesome resource. And, you know, we talked earlier about looking at those keywords from job descriptions. That's a great place to look. And you don't have to log into that. As long as you're inside Full Sail One, you can get in there. I think that's it. I think they have one more slide. Okay, yeah. This is my email. Do you all have any questions outside of today that you think of? Feel free to email me, but I'm also open to questions from any of you all from what we reviewed today, or any folks online that have questions. Okay. I'm used to people asking questions.
You're signing your reason.
Okay.
That's something I want to add though.
Yes.
When you can add your licensing and certificates, now they have an option where you can also add it as a skill set.
Oh,
So, it's just kind of a double thing that you can do.
yeah. So like, what would be an example of that?
I guess just to show you online,
Like, what would be an example of a certificate?
all right, so I have managing your career early development as one of my credentials.
Uh-huh.
So on skill sets, now I have 43 skills because I took so many LinkedIn learning courses, and now managing is one of my skills
Oh, okay.
because you can add that to both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you add that, you like, and you go through, like, if you're not aware of it,
Mhm.
potentially if you do that Taplio, it might pick up on that too and say like, hey, yes, this is something that you've done a lot of, you should add this.
Mhm. And a great thing about it is if the person that's running that LinkedIn is aware that you shared it, a lot of times they'll endorse you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's,
There's so many things I didn't get into today. Endorsements are another really good thing. You can ask your peers, professors, colleagues to make endorsements. It's basically,
Someone's calling me, sorry.
oh, you're fine.
That was rude.
Yeah.
So, since I'm getting my education, which is wholesale bachelor's degree, getting this is in esports.
Uh-huh.
Um, what date I would put in for like the end date?
When you're planning to graduate.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So I don't know exactly when I'm graduating. I did put. when I
You just started-
December.
Okay, so I think it would be safe to put 2026.
Yeah.
And if it changes, put 2027.
Okay, there are ways I can determine when I'm graduating, right?
Yes,
Thanks.
yeah, you have a whole plan. And as long as you stick to that plan. Well, sometimes, people, they have something come up, they have to travel back home or something for a month and it throws their date off. But typically it's usually within a few months.
I was gonna say, if you ever have questions about that, you can always come to, I'm also an academic advisor here. So you can come to academic advising, you can meet with them if you have questions about your grad date. But generally, if you're taking time off of school or something like that, it can get thrown off from your original date. But if you have questions about it, just ask. So
I usually see a slight fluctuation of maybe like a month.
it's usually only a month or two.
Month or
So
two.
you can expect any time if you're taking time off of school or you need to retake a class, you can think of that as another month added on. So it's going to shift it by a month because you're physically having to take the class again in a new month of your program, basically.
Yeah, you can put December 2027. Wait,
I put 2026.
2026.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then if it changes, just,
yeah. I mean,
Just add it.
it's a general. It's not like you're not going to graduate around that time.
yeah.
You can.
I usually only put the year. You don't have to put the month. I just put the year.
I think that's a newer thing.
Hmm?
I think it's a newer thing to put your like actual month and date.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I did either until,
It's not required to put your month.
yeah.
So you can just put the year.
Usually when you finish school, I know when I finished, I just put the years I was there,
Yeah,
not the month. It doesn't have to be super specific.
because I never do because I always forget.
Yeah, I
Like,
think, I think the month thing is for if you know you have some like upcoming opportunities, like usually you'd say like anticipated grad December 2026. Because I have done that personally with professional experience to say, hey, I'm supposed to graduate this month. I'll be ready for opportunities. But
yeah. I do that for jobs as well. Job history, I just put the year. The only time, like if you're worried about anything ethically, where it is important to be specific is on the job application. You always want to make sure that that's,
yeah.
because that goes through like background checks, HRs, but for LinkedIn, if you just put the year or like the month best you can, it's usually not a huge deal.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Is there anything online? Any questions?
Any questions online? No?
No? You just want to remind everyone, I don't know if can they hear me on the Zoom? Make sure you have checked in for GPS because this is a GPS event. So if you haven't checked in and RSVP that you are here, please make sure you do or you will not get the credit for it. So you would have RSVP'd on the Full Sail One event.
I will.
Can you
send
drop the link? Yeah, thank you.
I already did, but it's up there now. Is there a way to pin it in the chat?
In the Zoom?
In the Zoom chat? I don't know. I never, usually I'm on top of it. but I-
You can stop sharing, and then share that as the main screen.
Oh, do you want me to? I actually have something.
This is the form you guys would be filling out. So it would be on the Full Sail One.
Question.
Yeah.
I do have to check and go down, but you should.
Okay, I have Do you want me to share mine where I have a QR code that online students could share, or I can send it?
Can just send it to me and I'll go.
Yeah.
You could share it for online now.
And yeah, you can put it in the Zoom chat, no? It's just like a,
Okay.
I could do a share screen of the QR code.
oh, let me stop recording because we're done.